Good morning, my loves. Happy Monday. It's 5 a.m. here at the lake. Sun is just starting to come up. I know the days are getting shorter. Yeah. A few months ago, by 5 a.m., the sun was up and it was beautiful. Well, you know, it changes continuously. And yeah, won't be long before it's fall. Autumn will be upon us. I miss autumn so much. I'm a Midwest girl through and through. And I'm now in the greater Phoenix area. We don't have the seasons that y'all have. And I really miss that. I do. It's just kind of perpetual spring and summer here. Our winters are kind of like everybody else's spring. And of course, our summers are like 6 months of hell. But what you get when you live here. But I miss autumn, the colors, the crisp air. I'm not a pump. What is it? The big drink at Starbucks, the pumpkin spice latte. Yeah, I'm not a big. Yeah, no. Now I love chai. I would love a chai latte this morning. That sounds perfect. And some pumpkin bread maybe. And I like. Yeah, I'm definitely an autumn person through and through. So I miss the changing of the seasons here, and of course winter. You know, Here we do the best we can. They put up Christmas lights, but putting up Christmas lights on palm trees, well, it's a look all its own, and you'll have to Google it because I don't want to go into it. But it's just kind of different. But I do miss the snow occasionally, not the ice, but the snow. But, it's just a matter of getting in the car and driving like 3 hours north to Flagstaff, and they have the regular seasons. Prescott, Flagstaff have all 4 seasons. So if I really, really feel the need, I can go visit the seasons. I won't. I'll just stay here and whine and moan about it. So today is Monday all day long. Some people are happy about it, some aren't. And in our area, in the greater Phoenix area, schools are back in session today. I know the end of July and school's back. So the other day, Saturday, I went, to get my nails done, and there were a lot of kids there. A lot of girls going into junior high, a lot going into middle school and high school, and getting ready for today. Most were really excited about it. The look, what everybody's wearing the first day. And I remember that was a big deal. Coordinating your clothes with all of your friends. And that was, yeah. I didn't ask my granddaughter if they still do that. If I did, she would just roll her eyes and say, "Oh, Grandma Brenda, really?" I don't know. But as you're going to work this morning, please, if you're in an area where school's starting back, please just be mindful of kids and school crossings. If school isn't starting back, but your kids are starting to get pre-enrolled, when you take them for pre-enrollment, have your ducks in a row. Have all your immunizations together, your documents together, so it can be a relatively smooth transition. Yeah, the moms were talking about, how crazy it can get. And I'm an organized person. When my son was in school, I had a folder and I took my folder and everything was there, and that was the end of it. But, just be prepared. And it isn't cheap. Back when I went to school in the 60s, early 60s, it was free. My school, my elementary school, we did not have lunches at school. You had to go home for lunch. Or I think kids could take their lunch and eat on the playground. Maybe they had a classroom. We didn't have a cafeteria. And so it didn't cost anything. But when my son started school in, the 80s, that was a different story. You had fees. They weren't crazy, but there were fees. And now I would imagine it's substantially more expensive. So be ready. I think it would be nice if schools had a fund where parents or families, I should say, that are underprivileged get a break. That would be nice. I know a lot of the private schools, Catholic schools, religious schools have uniforms, and not all families can afford those. So again, if you can, if you're in a position to help and help cover someone else's expenses, please do. If you are in a position to help cover other lunches for the lunch tickets, I know when Jeff was in school, my son, back in the 80s, his school had a cafeteria, and of course you had to pay for lunches. And, I would just buy a block like every month, and it wasn't an issue. But there were kids, it was an issue. So when I could, I would always buy extras. And, the cafeteria people keep them on staff. They don't embarrass the kids. They know who needs the help and who doesn't. So they made sure everybody ate. And that was very admirable. That was really, really admirable. And then I think when he was in high school, they started having providing lunches or breakfasts. If kids wanted to go in and grab breakfast, they had that available, which was really awesome. Not all kids get breakfast. Not all kids get lunch. Not all kids have dinner. Not all kids go home to a warm, loving environment. Not all kids go home to electricity, to running water, to food, to having someone there. If you can find the kindness in your heart and in your family to allow a child to have dinner at your house till mom gets home or dad gets home, think about it, please. Take some leftovers to them. Don't make them feel like, they're a charity case. Just say, hey, why don't you hang over here till mom gets home? It's okay. You can do your homework here. That would really be nice. That would probably make a world of difference to some families, to know that their kids are safe. I was a single mom. My parents helped out, so it wasn't an issue. But I know other moms and single dads, it's an issue. You can't work that extra shift. You can't work the overtime. You don't have a sitter. You don't want your child home by themselves at dark. And, you might live in a sketchy neighborhood, or you might be having relationship issues. You don't want your kid home alone. So if you can, please extend a little kindness to a neighbor, to a family of a classmate. Be sure you know them. You know the story. You know that everything's legit. They know you're legit. Because the main thing is to keep the kids safe. That's the main thing. To let them know they're loved, they're safe, there's food, there's shelter, somebody to help them with their homework. You have no idea what difference that might make in a child's life. That might make... There are some kids, and I'm speaking of families that I have worked with in the past, that were struggling. And just the kindness that I extended made a difference in how they looked at life. That there are nice people out there. There are people that don't want to hurt them, that don't want to embarrass them, that don't want to make fun of them. They just want to lift them up and help. That's it. So just keep that in mind, if you would, as you're enrolling kids in school. So the sun's come up a little bit more. It's getting a little lighter. Gosh, it won't be long before it'll be dark on the way to work. I don't know if I'm ready for that, but have a great Monday. Remember, happiness is a choice. You can choose to be miserable and grumpy all day. You can choose to be happy. I vote on happy. Grab some donuts, take them into the office. Just make the best of Monday. What else can you do?